There's one question, and maybe after this we can wrap up tonight's session, inshallah. The question is the Battle of Uhud where Nusayba rahimahullah, fought, and what are the implications of women's roles in jihad because of her efforts?
So I'll begin with just the principle, right? Because whenever we talk about any kind of issue, it's really important to understand the governing principles, right? So I'll share a little principle. There are exceptions to the rule, but we don't make rules out of exceptions, right? So, like for instance, okay, if somebody falls down and gets a back injury, now they can't do ruku and sujood properly, so they sit in the chair and they pray in the chair. Exception to the rule, right? Well, obviously, we're not going to break this poor guy's back and make him do sujood when he's got a back injury. But once he's gotten better, he got some physical therapy, alhamdulillah, he's healed a week later, and now he can move again. Now we can't make a rule out of the exception. Now when he stands up to pray, he's got to pray properly with the full ruku and full sujood, no more on the chair. So there's exceptions, but we don't make rules out of the exceptions. Our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it very, very clear that the women's role is not in the actual battlefield, but our mothers, the mothers of the believers, may Allah be pleased with them, they helped and supported by, bringing water and aid and help to the fallen and the wounded, right? So they helped in that particular kind of capacity. But this is a part of the dignity of Islam, that Islam did not bring the women into the battlefield. Because even for the men, right? If you go and you read the books of usul, the fuqaha, they say that battle, jihad, qital, the actual combat is hasanun li ghayrihi, right? That it's not hasanun li dhatihi, qabihun li dhatihi, hasanun li ghayrihi. In and of itself, it's not a good thing for people to be killing and fighting and shooting and slashing or whatever the form of combat is. But it's something that becomes a necessity, and so then it's a good act because of the necessity of the moment. But that's why as soon as the necessity's gone, then we don't go around they don't go around just killing people, right? So it's a part of the dignity that Islam has for women and the consideration for our women folk, our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, our wives, that Allah did not lower them into the battlefield where it's brutality, right? And it's bloodshed. Please, Sheikh Hasib.
Yeah, this is absolutely true. SubhanAllah, and you look at the times of exceptions in the Muslim Ummah, when this existed, this wasn't just a solitary, for example, one moment or another, but the idea that Nusayba radiallahu ta'ala anha was called upon because of her expertise as well, right? She was called upon in the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's khilafah. This was a woman that was just not like any other woman, but subhanAllah, she had military expertise, which was called upon more than once in the Muslim world. So of course, just as Sheikh mentioned, Jazakallah khair, the idea of exceptions don't make the norms, but also, I think people who have specializations or things that the Ummah is requiring, then establishes that exception as well. So you see that in the case of Nusayba radiallahu anha specifically, because you don't see that like a norm anywhere else. But she was the Sahabi that essentially saved the Prophet ﷺ's life, and you understand why she was there to begin with. I don't think there's many Sahaba in the entire history of Islam that have that status. That if it wasn't for this specific action, the Prophet would have died. It was the action of Nusayba radiallahu ta'ala anha because of who she was and what she essentially brought to the Muslims' defense. Alhamdulillah.